I'm going to recap what Joe Biden has done for the past few days. Welcome to Republican Talks, everybody. I'm your host, Kenneth Glenn. And today, before I get into the Joe Biden stuff, I want to talk to you about UFC 257. Conor McGregor and Poirier. Oh, bro, Dustin Poirier. He pulled it off, and I predicted it too. So basically, it's a UFC pay-per-view that happened on Saturday, and I'm going to talk about it first before I get into the Joe Biden stuff. This was probably one of the coolest fights I've seen because I predicted exactly what was going to happen too. So Conor McGregor, he's an orthodox. He's usually a southpaw fighter. He's usually hands up, in your face type fighter. And Poirier is better at wrestling. But so when Conor went into the fight, he went in with the whole strategy of I'm going to keep my legs spread far apart. So if this dude tries to get on top of me, I'm going to sprawl. I've seen Conor training for this fight, and he was doing sprawl training for the fight. And when Conor's legs were spread apart, Poirier took that to his own advantage, and instead of trying to do takedowns, which he's really good at it, he threw leg kicks instead. And them leg kicks really messed Conor up. I mean, his leg, he couldn't walk. He said I'm going to quote Conor here, I think he said that his legs felt like a balloon after he was done fighting, so take that with what you will. And Conor just got the snot kicked out of him. I predicted this months ago when I first saw the fight. Because last time I've seen Poirier fight, I don't know if this was his last fight, but the last fight I saw was when he beat Justin Gaethje. And Justin Gaethje's like a really good fighter. And me seeing Poirier beat him pretty badly, I already knew Conor was done. I can't wait for the next fight. I might buy it on pay-per-view, alright? Let's get to the Joe Biden news now. So Joe Biden, he's been president for a week now, and I'm just going to basically review what he has done for this past week. And that's what we're going to do in this video. So Joe Biden, he had an inaugural speech on the 20th, I think it was the 20th he had the inaugural speech. Chris Wallace on Fox News, he's saying how great of a speech it was. He said it was the best speech he ever listened to. Chris Wallace on Fox News, he said that. And by the way, Chris Wallace was the same guy who was the moderator for the first debate, for the first presidential debate, where it was basically like the episode of Step Brothers. It was basically like the movie Step Brothers, where they're like bickering back and forth. He was the moderator for that debate. And yeah, you could definitely tell that debate wasn't like one-sided or anything. It wasn't like Chris Wallace was on Biden's side or anything, right? So yeah, Chris Wallace says that he's been listening to these speeches since Kennedy got in office in '61. And he says it's the best speech ever. It was the best speech he's ever heard. And what I say to that is name one speech. One line in that speech. If these guys think this speech was so good, name one line from the speech. One. Without looking it up, tell me one line from the speech. Exactly, you can't. Because it's probably one of the most forgettable speeches. Alright, so I'm going to get into more news. So Joe Biden, during his celebration, he didn't wear a mask right after. So when Joe Biden first got into office, he wanted to get right to work. And he goes in by signing all these different bills and all these different laws. He overturned all of Trump's abortion laws. I'll get to that later in the video. And he signed a law where you have to wear a mask on federal ground. And what's funny is he ended up not doing it at a celebration. He ended up not wearing a mask to a celebration, which is absolutely hilarious. And his press secretary defends him. We'll get to that right now.
On doing his job to get the work done for the American people. Go ahead.
Why weren't President Biden and all members of the Biden family masked at all times on federal lands last night if he signed an executive order that mandates masks on federal lands at all times?
At the inaugural...
At the Lincoln Memorial, yes.
I think, Steve, he was celebrating an evening of a historic day in our...
Isn't it funny how Biden picks a butt kisser to put as the press secretary, and Trump picked Kayleigh McEnany. It's funny because Kayleigh McEnany, she usually tells the truth. If she doesn't like something that Trump did, or Trump did something that's actually wrong, she would stick up and say, "Yeah, that was wrong. I think it was bad." But not this way. Not this lady. She will go with Trump or Biden all day, no matter what he did. So now we're gonna move on to that, and we're gonna talk about the Keystone Pipeline. Keystone Pipeline was an oil pipe that stretched 900 miles from America to Canada. And Biden revoked that. He basically losing 11,000 jobs. 8,000 of the 11,000 were union jobs. And also 60,000 indirect jobs. And indirect jobs, to my understanding, is managers, management staff, and accountants. That was, to my knowledge and my research, that's those jobs, those were affected. And funny enough, the press secretary, everyone that was defending Biden has been saying, "Oh yeah, but he's just going to replace those jobs." No, because the press secretary literally said today that they could just find new jobs. They could just find new jobs. Just find another job. So you want 11,000 people, 70,000 people to find a new job, just a new job out of nowhere? That's ridiculous. You're a bunch of dum-dums over there. Alright, so I don't know if you've been sleeping under a rock for the past few days, you wouldn't know, but if you haven't been sleeping under a rock, you would know that the soldiers were sleeping in a garage, in a parking garage. So the National Guard, who was defending Joe Biden inaugural address, after they were sleeping in the Capitol building, and then they ended up getting kicked out by somebody, I'm not sure who. And still to this day, at the point where this video is uploaded, Joe Biden has still not made an address, by the way. To my knowledge, he's still not made a public address addressing it. Chuck Schumer stated that he will get to the bottom of this and he'll find out who did it. And there's no way troops should be treated like this. Another congresswoman tweeted that the National Guard most likely voted for Trump, so they're a security threat anyways. And which is just horrible. This is horrible. That they allow this. Could you imagine if Donald Trump did this? If this happened under Trump's administration? Oh wait, it did. And guess what? Trump fixed it. Trump had police that had to stay out, and he actually allowed them to stay in Trump's hotel in Washington, D.C. And guess who also let these troops stay in Washington, D.C., the Trump Hotel in Washington, D.C.? Yeah, that's right. Donald Trump stepped in and helped these 5,000 troops get a nice place to stay in Trump Hotel. They can stay there for as long as they need, to my understanding. So there's 5,000 soldiers in this parking garage. There's one bathroom and one outlet. I still, to this day, want to know how they figured out who used the outlet. What did they do? Did they use those, like, what are those things called? They, like, have extra outlets? And did they, like, add an outlet, the extra outlet thing to the one outlet, and then keep chaining them? Or did one person use the outlet? I still want to figure out how they did it. That sounds interesting. I guess you have to be there to know. I still to this day want to know how they got to the outlet. Who got to the outlet. But it's disgusting seeing it. I know that they're military soldiers and they've been through worse. But just because they've been through worse does not mean you get to treat them like crap, okay? That just absolutely astonishes me. And the president still has not addressed it at all. It's sad when the misogynist from New York, Chuck Schumer, steps up before our president does. That's just absolutely crazy to me. Alright, so Joe Biden. So, when Joe Biden was entering the White House, there's been this clip going around, and Joe Biden has an earpiece in, and this guy's talking to him, and he was supposed to salute the troops, meaning you go up and then you just salute the troops, like that. So, the guy's in his earpiece, and he tells Joe Biden, salute the troops. So you want to know what Joe Biden does? You know what? Just let the clip play. So when you look at that, Joe Biden, instead of saluting the troops like a normal president would, he takes it upon himself to spout it out of his mouth. Instead of actually doing the action of saluting the troops, he spouts it out of his mouth. So this is what tells you that Joe Biden is really not fit to run our country. He's really not fit, in my opinion. And, yeah. So Joe Biden was signing a bunch of laws, and there is a clip out there of him signing these clips. I couldn't find a clip that could actually, you can hear it well. But there's clips out there of Joe Biden signing a bunch of bills, and he gets to one, and he's like, I don't even know what I'm signing, and then signs it. So that's always fun. I don't know what I'm signing. Like, who does that? Like, that's just ridiculous. Also, Joe Biden and... Okay, this is going to sound weird. Joe Biden banned the... Hold up. How do you say this? Biden banned... This is a tongue twister. Biden ends the banning of funding abortion. So, basically what this means is Trump had a bunch of these laws he was going to pass and sign where he was going to stop places like Planned Parenthood and a bunch of other abortion clinics from funding abortion. Because I'm sorry, Planned Parenthood doesn't need $500 million every year. They don't need $500 million. How many people do they really have that they need $500 million? Explain that to me. It's crazy. But anyways, so Trump wanted to ban the funding of that. He wanted to ban a lot of it. He didn't want to get rid of funding completely, but he wanted to get rid of a large portion of it. And Biden overturned that. Also, Joe Biden made it so people in other countries could get abortions. Forgot which countries exactly, but some other countries could also get abortions now, which is just phenomenal. Let's just kill more babies while we're at it. And Biden, he has one more COVID plan, and his plan is to, drumroll please, wear a mask. Like, we haven't been doing that. So Joe Biden says, like, we're trying to do the 100 million vaccines, or 100 million vaccines every day. But he goes, the actual plan is to wear a mask. Because masks are more effective than the vaccine. Wow.
So, while we increase vaccinations, we're going to take steps necessary now to slow the spread of the disease as well. One of our 100-day challenges is asking the American people to mask up for the first 100 days, the next 99 days. The mask have become a partisan issue, unfortunately, but it's a patriotic act. But for a few months to wear a mask, no vaccines, the fact is that they're the single best thing we can do. They're even more important than the vaccines because...
If you like this video, maybe you'll hit the subscribe button. And if you want to see my last videos, they'll be right here in this corner. See you guys later.